Here you go, guys. Welcome back to NZ Motor Kustoms. So, on this video, so in the last video, basically, we spent 2 days getting our girl to run. It does run. I can't start it at the moment because we've got a few pieces off it. Got a little few issues we've got to sort. We had a few teething issues, obviously getting it running and whatever. We had to lift the motor a little bit. That was one of those things I was contemplating doing, so we could make a crank handle to work that. We had some carburetor issues, we had some vacuum tank issues, we've had some charging issues. We couldn't get it to start on 6 volts, it was just too tight to get the spin over fast enough. So yeah, we eventually got it running and whatever. But yeah, we've still got a few teething issues. We found out what the charging issue was. So we're going to get that fixed and see if we can find a new generator cutout. Or see if we can fix the one. Dad's actually got it away. He's having a look at it. Yeah, I don't know, I know he's got other stuff he's going to do. I don't know whether we had a look at it last night or he's having a look at it today, I don't know. But yeah, so we got a few issues and we had a few little minor oil leaks and a couple of little weeping water problems, that we think we've got sorted. And so yeah, it took a little bit of time to get things sorted, and plus we had to go through and, because we lifted the motor, we had to rebolt the motor down, and we've had to fill it full of oil on the gearbox and all that sort of stuff. So it just took time. Yeah, one of those things. We just hadn't gone through and done all those last little stages. I did most of that in the morning. But anyway, so we're going to get to this. So I just finished off the other one. Had a few little brackets and bits and pieces and areas and spots that I hadn't finished welding, so I'd done that off camera. So that would have, that'll be in the video before this one. But yeah, so I'm about to go through and do basically the same things I did to that one, to this one. We'll start off, we'll have to fix this. It's flapping in the breeze. So we'll strengthen that up, and then I'll come along and we'll probably cut this piece off. We'll roll it in the English wheel because it's all beaten and stretched. We'll get that smoothed out, and then we'll work out where it's stopped being stretched, and we'll do what we did with the other one. Whack it through up here, we'll cut it through there somewhere, get that off, make a new piece, weld that in, and obviously fix anything else that needs fixed at the same time. And then we'll come through to here and we'll repair this. We have to put a patch up in here, we'll have to do some hammer and dolling through here, knock a few dents out, clean it up and whatever, and then we'll move to the rear fenders, which again will mean mainly the same sort of thing, repair this section of it, but obviously the front side, and I think there's a couple of little cracks and a couple of dents and whatever, and then maybe some other minor little stuff. I think the worst of it's just that part of the rear ones. I'll quickly show you. Yeah, so down here seems to be the worst of the issues on this. The rest of it actually seems to be pretty good. There's a few little dents and marks, and stuff like that, and there might be the odd crack, but I think apart from that they're pretty good. I'll just have to hammer and dolly a little bit of stuff, and then they'll be pretty much ready. So I'm guessing that'll probably take me the majority of the day to get that sorted. I'm hoping not, because since I've done it once I've got a bit more idea what I need to do. So yeah, hopefully maybe repair that in those in one day. Obviously depending with that, it might even take me that long because it's kind of a repeat of what I'm doing here anyway. So yeah, today's Friday, and there's actually a big car show, and there's a big massive car cruise. So it's the Southern Gasoline and Girls car cruise tonight. So I'm going to go into town and film that. And then there's a car show tomorrow, and there's other stuff as well and amongst it, but I don't think I'm going to be going to the other stuff as much as I would like to. I think it's too much. I need to do the other stuff myself. As much as I'd like to go to all of it, yeah, I think just car cruise tonight will be awesome. Apparently they got a massive amount of cars, like huge, about double the numbers apparently they had last time. If you go back to 2021, because they didn't have one last year, they were going to and never happened. So yeah, the amount of cars that are cruising around in 2021, apparently it's close to double that. I haven't been talking to the organiser in the last couple of days, but yeah, he was saying the other day that, like about a week or two ago, that yeah, they had close to double the amount of cars wanting to do the cruise, and they basically block off all the streets, main couple of streets in town, and they do that. So that'll be tonight's video. I'll be filming that, and then yeah, film the car show tomorrow as well. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that I might be able to shoot down here in the morning and get a chunk of that stuff done, or at least get it started, so I can finish the Monday, and then we can actually, then I can finish the bits on the actual main tub and the main body. I'm going to do the running boards last. I'll get the whole car together and paint it and screw around with that, and then I'll probably, even if he takes the car away, I can take some measurements and make the running boards, and I can give them back to him later or something like that. I can come down here on a weekend and make them. I'm not worried about them. I'd rather get everything else done, get it all back together, get it back together as much as I can, and then work out, maybe try and get them started before it disappears, so I can finish them. I've got them here as patterns, so yeah, because I'm probably going to have to make them too. Yeah, the guy's turning in a bit of a nightmare. His expectations are way higher than what he thinks, and I think he's just going to become a bit of a pain in the ass. But sometimes you just got to frickin' take the sour end of the stick, I guess, and do what you can do. So anyway, we'll get into this, and yeah, we'll try and get this old girl finished in the next 4 or 5 weeks. Righty. So, again, we're trying to get through the English right now. I'm not trying to straighten it out perfect or anything like that. It would take freedom. But I'm just trying to flatten it out so it's through here. It's not all bent up and twisted and whatever. So when I put a piece of new sheet metal from here to here, it's not all frickin' twisted up. It's actually, this is all stretched even up to here. But I think I can manipulate that little bit from there. Again, I picked this height because it's so pitted and so full of holes from here below. When you look through from the other side, yeah, I've had to come up to here to at least get rid of 90% of it, if you know what I mean. And the any holes that are left along this edge, I'll be cutting most of it away. I'm going to weld on there and fill them anyway. There's a couple of patches on the side reinforcing, which I might have to do a little bit something with that as well. And then hammer and dolly along here. I might hammer and dolly that a little bit first before I cut this out. Just up straight, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Yeah, it's rough. It's definitely smoother now than it was, but it was really bad. Like this, a few rolls through the English wheel, just enough to smash all that stuff to a reasonable level where it's workable, you know what I mean? Man, it's going to get hot freaking here quick today. Anyway, we'll hammer and dolly this edge, and we'll slice this out. We'll cut a new piece out and go from there. Right, with any luck, this should be the same curve as the last one. You get that basic profile on it, so we'll run this through and see how close we are, and then we can get a point to at the end to bend that down 90. I left it long because I knew roughly where it was, but I didn't really know that side. It's kind of skeptical, so I left it, a good inch on the end of it. So I've got plenty to play with. A little bit over. Right. We've got a nice flowing curve now. It's even, whatever. It's got through there, so it's nice, straight this way, but gentle, even curve. Hopefully the same as what that Fender is. So we'll put it on here and we'll mark where we want it to bend. We'll get it lined up here and mark where we want it. We'll bend it. Right, I finally got that tacked in. I really need some freaking big vice grip clamps. At some point I'll go freaking buy some. Oh, I just never think about it when I'm in town or I'm in the right place or I've got too many other people with me nagging over my shoulder about something else. And I completely forget. And I need to find somewhere that has a decent amount of that sort of stuff so I can have a good look. Because a lot of home hardware places and stuff don't have a lot of that sort of stuff. They just have standard sort of vice grips. And they have a few of those sort of like the two-fingered ones, each side and the other bend, and sometimes they have a bit of that sort of stuff, but it's not easy to find those big C-clamp sort of type ones without going to more of a specialty sort of place. So I have to have a hunt for that bit of that shit, and see if I can find somewhere decent to buy them from without spending oodles of money, on overpriced stuff, if you know what I mean. Still get good brand stuff, but find someone that's not selling them at that freaking massive markup or something stupid. Anyway, so we've got that in. I'm gonna have to do a bit of hammering down here because for some reason I think this was still a bit overstretched. I probably should have cut a little higher and went up a bit here higher because this is alright, but this was poking up. So yeah, it's alright. We'll just have to hammer and dolly a little bit later on. It sort of comes down here and it's almost like got a little ski ramp in it. Hopefully I can sort it out. I think it's just overstretched in the centre still, if you know what I mean. But yeah, as long as I can get it to sit flattish, I might have to come along and do a couple of little shrinks or something like that at some point. I may have to do that on these side pieces too. When I do the other one, I might just have another wee look at that later. Once I get this one finished, we'll get all this stuff finished. I might just go back over a couple of little things and just double check. I might have to do just a couple of minor little shrinks somewhere just to get something to suck into place a little bit better. But I think for the majority of it, it should be alright. But yeah, we'll weld this in now, and then when we grind this back and clean it up, I might just come along here with the hammer and dolly and just see if we can get this transition a little nicer. The other one actually tucked in a bit, and I'm not too worried about that because I can do a little hammer and dolly work. And if it's got a little bit extra, a wee bit thicker in that one spot, it's not going to matter a horrendous amount. But it's a bit awkward when it's poking up. But we'll sort it. Like I said, I might just have to stretch it or shrink it. Sorry, after I've done everything else. I'll just come back in here and just do a couple of little shrinks this here just to get it to down a little bit. That's all right. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's like Dan says, future Glenn's problem. Not future Dan's problem, but future Glenn's problem. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. We'll get it welded up. Right, so I finished welding that. I've noticed there's a couple of pinholes, and I've got to grind this back a bit harder. I've just been hammering it, trying to get the little bit of a high spot out of that from welding it on. And this was overstretched, so it was sitting a little bit high. And now I've got it down reasonable. I'll have to have another wee go at it later, just to pull it down a little bit further. Like I said, I may have to try and grind this up and clean it up a bit better, and maybe shrink just in here just to bring that back if I have to. But it's not too bad now. And I just knocked all the shit out of here. Most all the mud and shit was up in there. So apart from a little bit of titivation on there, I'll have to start making this piece and working out what I need to cut off. So I'll just look at it and just, it really needs all replaced. It's a pain in the ass. Pain in the ass because I don't frickin', be nice to frickin' better save that, but I can't. It's not as rusty as the other one, but you're still replacing the same amount of money, metal. And I'm gonna have to come up here and cut a patch out of here because it's rusted up in here. Sort of that brace sits in there, but then it moves away from the actual fender here. But it was sort of so built up with shit in there. I'm gonna have to put a wee patch in here, cut a screw out and put a bit in there. unfortunately, and I'm going to have to do some hammer and dolly through here, like the other one. I might get wherever that block was I used the other day. I'll have to run that across here. Holy balls, it's hot in here. Whew. Man, I'm sweating like nobody's business. See, not lying. But yeah, so I'll have to do a little hammer and dolly on there, and then we'll have to cut that out and basically make the same thing as what we did last time. I don't know if we're going to have to go and come here as quite as far for this bit, but we'll have to put an extra patch up in here. And we'll just clean the edges up here. Seems to be okay. Yeah, so we'll do that, and probably after lunch I might start cutting it off now, but yeah, we'll finish it off after lunch. Man, that heat just slows you down because you're constantly freaking wiping the sweat and whatever. But yeah, and people wonder why things take so long. But like, you know, I wouldn't say I spent most of the morning doing this because I was farting around with a wee bit, playing around with that other one, and I did make my intro video 3 times, I think. But for this video, so yeah, it's taken me a fair chunk in the morning, at least be 2.5 hours in that, I guess, ish. Maybe not quite that long, but about that. Stopping and starting, letting it cool down and whatever, and cleaning it up and whatever, and obviously a bit of hammer and dolling and everything beforehand, just to get things right and straightening it up and bracing that piece before it, you know, with the crack in it, you know, welding that up and clean, you know, just making sure that was strong. I had to, not that that's much, but you know what I mean. Not that that's much, but you know, you still got to weld that up so you can get this in the right position and then straighten the other side out. And well, yeah, I'm English rolled it and done a bit of hammer and dolling and weld up that other crack there, clean that up. So I've done a little bit here, you know. It wasn't just that piece, but we spent a probably good 2.5, borderline 3 hours, I guess, making, welding, fixing cracks, whatever, strengthening it up, straightening it out, build that patch, put it in. So yeah, takes time, you know, and it'll probably be all afternoon just freaking around with that, you know, because I got to make that again. You got to come along and make this funny little freaking bend over taggy bit like I do in the other one. Same principle, you know. So yeah, you know, we'll probably chop that piece off and we'll start cutting up the pattern, and then we'll finish it off after lunch, I think. So yeah, we'll probably see you after lunch when I've got the patch cut out, I guess. Right, before I run away for lunch, I've just been doing some body work in here, trying to hammer out some of my marks. I think I'm going to have to come through and shrink some of this, because if I run that bit of bronze wire on there, and hold it down here flat and then hold it over here, you get to about here and then there's a big gap. Well, it's not huge, but you know what I mean. There's a gap down here where this is high and it's holding it up from the panel, like, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch sort of thing. I don't know if I can show you. Hold on. Quickly throw you up the tripod, see if I can try and show you if I can. Let's see. Drop you down a little bit. Just try and get the eye line right, if you know what I mean, for the camera. Try and show you if I can. So I get this piece of wire with it, hold it with the bead is, and hold it like that, and then run it up there. You can see here, there's a gap underneath, and it's caused from all this being high, even through here. But I'm not too worried about that because I don't have to cut this shit off anyway, and this will move around a little bit. I don't know, I'll be down here, sorry, wrong end. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to actually come through here and probably do some heat shrinking. I heat it up and then hammer around the high spots. So you can see the high spots because I used, this is my cheap version of Lucky Blocks. That's just got some 80 grit on it. It's pretty worn. But anywhere where it's really shiny is high, so I have to come through and start shrinking some of these really high pieces back and just see if we can get this panel to pull back a little bit so it's not quite so high through here. It should come along and then come into here, not come along and then go up and then into here. And it's, I think it's stretched probably up through here. Might be quite so bad. This might come down when I shrink this. It'll sort of a bit so. Yeah. It's unfortunate it's been beaten a bit through here at some stage, whether it's stones or what, you don't know, but yeah. But this one's worse than the other. I managed to flatten it out. I'll have to have a decent look at it, but I managed to flatten it out pretty good, but this one's had quite a beating just in this area. So it needs pulled. We'll concentrate on some of these high spots and pull them in and then see if that just helps suck this panel back a little bit. So we might tack that after lunch instead of doing this. We'll get that pulled down before we cut this off so the panel's still the original shape. And then we can add this in later. Anyway, I'll go have some lunch. I'm going to try and see if I can get that piece of the English wheel and just run it through a few times, see if I can flatten out what's there. I'll open it up and then just close it once I've got it in that area and just see if I can work it backwards and forwards from the bottom, you know, from where that flange tips up at the bottom where I've got to replace some of it, back to the top part of the, on that side of the front side of the brace. I'll just see if I can wheel it through there, see if we can smooth that out a little bit. I've shrunken that 3 or 4 shrinks in there and it's pulled it down. I might just run it through there and see if I can flatten off what's there and then just reassess the shape a little bit. I don't want to put any crown or anything else. I would just use the flat dolly with basically almost no pressure, but just enough to, so it's always sandwiching the 2 bits of steel where it's just got a little bit of slip. So you'll try that and just see where it comes to. I'll come back to you when I've done it and we'll assess it from there. Whew, don't like this heat. I'm trying to do this sort of work. But anyway, we'll get to it. See you in a minute. Righty. You don't want to see the other side of the camera anyway at the moment. But you can see there's probably little train tracks in it. It's from me wheeling it. I actually put the slightly crown die in it and just left it with almost no pressure, well basically no pressure at all. And wheeled it a few more times, and I've hammered and dolly a few more times. I've done the shrink here. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not. But it actually feels quite good now. It's very slightly bumpy, but you can see that when I sand over it, there's not a lot that's really low. Like if the lines weren't in it, it probably wouldn't be that bad. If I had a proper planishing hammer, like a pneumatic one, I'd run over it a few times with that one and all this would disappear. But I have done it a bit by hand with this dolly and the hammer, that dolly underneath, and run over it, run them behind the high spots, and then hammer some of these down just in case they were a bit over proud. But I think we should be okay. Actually, I'm going to hammer this here because it's a funny freaking lump in it, I think. Something's going on there anyway. I'll have another look. But yeah, I think that's actually not too bad now for a scrape of mud. And for whatever's going to be on there, it'll be fine. So yeah, it's better than it was by far. I might go over it another couple of times just with the hammer and dolly. Like I said, if I had a pneumatic, even one of the handheld ones, clamp it on the bench a wee bit more and, run over it with one of those ones and just whatever. I'm going to build myself one or buy one at some point, but it's just having enough, funds about buying the materials and whatever else with everything else that's going on. It's another one of those tools that, it'd be nice to have. But you can do the same thing with a hammer and a dolly and get it reasonably smooth. If I was a wee bit more proficient with English wheel too, I would probably better get it even better. But there's a point in time, especially too with this vehicle. I'm on a stretched budget here as it is, so I've got it fairly good. A skimmer body puller is gonna, that's all gonna disappear. As long as that's gonna be thick anyway, it's just gonna be enough to fill the lows in, block her out a couple of times, and Bob's your uncle. The rest of it over here it's not that bad, and I've still got to put that patch in. So we'll start making that patch now. Good timing. Right, I'll carry on. Right, so I'm going to cut the bottom off this Fender mudguard, what do you want to call it, Monday morning. So this should be an easy repair because I'm pretty much just flat except for this bit of a kick up here. Obviously we're still going to do that little funny little bead thing, and at some point we'll have to do this as well. That, I guess you would call it swage, or bead roll, or whatever you want to call it. I could almost repair it. You could almost, but there is a few, I don't know if you can see, there's quite a few little pinholes in it. It's kind of one of those things you could try. It probably could have, but when you've got to replace the stuff in here and it's all holy down here, well, it kind of defeats the purpose. I'm gonna have to cut that piece out, or hopefully, I don't know, I'm hoping maybe I might better bead roll it on the, if I get an extra set of hands and mark my measurements out, I might better bead roll it on there and then just hammer and dolly around it a bit. We'll see at the time. We'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah, so I'm going to mark this piece out and we'll cut that out. I'll try and show you how I do this, or how I did that, if I can remember. And yeah, then we'll weld that on, and obviously we have to come back and do that piece if I ever get this die made. If my brother ever makes it, I haven't heard from him, so I haven't rang him though either, just to see what the go was. I know he did ask me to bring a die in, but I sent him a video with more detailed measurements, doing it on video in front of him, like one of the ones I got here. So I'm hoping that's enough, because, I would be easier if I didn't have to take it into him. You know, I can just go in there and pick it up when I need it, when he makes these 2 dies. So we'll get this cut out and then we'll carry on. I'm hoping, really hoping this guy turns up, because I've spent probably not quite 2 hours this morning, but trying to get this all sorted here, because I don't think we've ever had the pump going for the tanks at the back. So I've got that sorted. I've got the engine motor, what do you want to call it, on a pallet on that trolley thing, really awkwardly, because you know, like most engine lifts, you can never get them close enough because the frickin' legs are always in the road. They all need to be, you know, about 2 foot long with a counterbalance on them. Would be the ideal, but yeah. So yeah, hopefully he turns up here and starts cleaning up. Otherwise, I wasted a whole freaking heap of time this morning shuffling all that shit around, getting the chassis out, getting that out, getting the motor on there, freaking around, making sure it was secure on the, and it wasn't going to tip over and all that sort of shit. But I really need tools to drag it out, and, you know, sort of onto the gravel to clean it up, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and the only other thing I might have to do, there's not a lot of fuel in the pressure washer, so I'll have to shoot away and get some fuel for that at some point. But I'm not going to panic. You know, if he doesn't turn up before lunchtime, I'll grab the can and I'll fill it up, and at least I'll bring it back here and put it back in it so it's ready to go if he does turn up at some point. But he said he was going to turn up today, so I'm hoping he's going to turn up today. I'll spend all that time frigging around with it. I could have done it tomorrow or next day or whatever when he decides to turn up. Yeah, we'll make this. Right, hoping I can show you this. So, he swapped his dies back over. Actually, I'll turn the light on the top. Not how much, but it might enlighten the subject a little bit. So I need to swap these over first for so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this line here, which I've transferred onto here, and bend that down. So now, where are we? Grab skirt. Yeah. So need that on there. So that's going to be on. So that there's going to be right on that edge. And then, yeah, this one. Run along the other. So we'll do that first. And I actually just back this off a little bit, just so it's not tight, if you know what I mean. Just don't have them butted hard up to get against each other. I'll leave myself a little bit of gap. So yeah, I'll run this edge here. That's my edge to tip down. Try and see if we can get this to work. It's okay. I'm just trying to follow that line. Best I can to try and mimic the original. So we'll bend that down like that. Eventually we'll come along and we'll hammer that over. So now I'm going to swap around the other dies and with the very small step on and push it back the other way, but use this and have very low pressure on it just to try and get a line, then slowly creep it down so this kicks back up again. But we've already got this bent edge over. This time we want this on the inside at the top. There we are. Here. So we want to push it the opposite way. You want hardly any pressure at all, and we'll just slowly increase a little bit. It's not quite enough. Probably not enough. Yep. Is it marking it at all? Just want enough so when we eventually just get that pressure mark on there. Still barely enough. Starting to leave mark now. You can feel it slipping, if you know what I mean, like there's barely any pressure on there. Just starting. Got a crease in it. I think if you've done it a few times you'll get a bit of a feel for it. See there now, it's just starting to get a bit of a half, 3/4 of turn, oh, half to sort of a third of a turn. Just trying to increase it a little bit, if you know what I mean. Starting to get a line on there now. So what I might do now is cut this here, and then we'll try and fold it over and we'll see what you look like. So it should end up with a result a bit like that. Right, so I just took that out of the vise. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on here. Might put a couple of extra welds, pick up some pinholes and just grind this all off clean. This kind of overlapped a little bit, but I'm not worried about it because it burnt through most of it. I've got a good, pretty good penetration, but we'll clean it up. We'll have to do a little bit of welding here because I just about cut through that when I was trying to get it off. Put a couple of tack welds in here, just to get it on because it's kind of on it anyway. A few little bits of cleanup, and yeah, we'll call that one kind of done until now, I guess. You know, do a little bit tart up and whatever, and then we'll obviously have to put that bit in there for the bead roll, and drill a couple of holes and whatever when we get close to that point, if you know what I mean. I might leave the holes and bits and pieces until I've got the bead, got that bead in it. But yeah, we're pretty. Oh, still got to finish the bracket and put that on. So yeah, we'll do that now. We'll fix this bracket, get all the shit off here, and we'll get that back on. So we'll do that now. Right, so I got that off. I've given it a rough cleanup. It looks like I'm probably going to have to do a similar sort of thing to what I did last time. It's probably just, I probably really should cut the whole piece off, but I think what I'll do is it's reasonably solid out here, and it's fairly solid out here. It's not too bad. Got a wee bit of a crack, I'll weld that up. But I think we'll just cut this down through here, and then just hammer those couple of little dimples in there. Again, we'll just put a fresh piece of steel in there. At least then it keeps on the profile right and everything else like that, and then we can give it a bit of a clean up and spray, put some weld through on there and weld it on. Right, so I got the first rear fender mud guard up here. I had a few dents and stuff to knock out, but I'm gonna have to move that frickin' motor. Pain in the fucking ass. Guy hasn't turned up, no message, nothing. I'm a bit peeved about it. Especially when he said, like last week when he was here having a look, and you know, having a bit of a grizzle about things. I'm sorry I'm being a bit vocal about it. It pisses me off, but yeah, and then says, oh yeah, I'll be here Tuesday after the long weekend and I'll start cleaning up that motor, you know, and then I waste time fucking moving it and trying to freaking get it onto that pallet, and so we can drag it outside so he can scrape the shit off it and you know, clean it up. And then I've got to, because the weathers are looking a bit freaking crappy, I've got to try and get it back off the pallet, back inside, whatever, just by myself, you know. I was half expecting him to be here and give me a hand to, you know, muscle it around. So, but anyway, so I got a few dents in here to knock out, a couple there. So good general feel. I think there's probably a couple minor ones here. I think there's one there. Got this. It feels pretty good, really. There's a bit of a, it's had a bit of a whack up in here somewhere by something. So we'll have to hammer that out. And it really needs a wee bit of work down here. And then obviously we need a patch in the bottom here somewhere. I'll probably cut a small patch across here and get this top piece off. At least so we can clean up the under with this brace. I'm going to try and see if I can leave this on and just weld it into here. It looks reasonably solid, but when we get this piece off we'll better tell, but I think I'll knock the rest of these dents out first. But yeah, I'll better see if I can get this bloody thing inside. I'm just not, I didn't really want to take it off. I was hoping to be able to maybe drag the whole thing inside, but I don't think I can. I had a little play a bit earlier on, see if maybe I could lose the chain to help lift that thing up and sort of try and push and maneuver it into here, but it's too bloody awkward by myself. If I had somebody else here to help me, I would be able to do it. Just better leave it on, you know, but it's going to frickin' piss down shortly, so I better do it. Anyway, so yeah, I'll probably end up wasting frickin' 2.5, 3 hours today screwing around with this frickin' thing, and then I'll have to get the chassis back inside, and I'll have to put the motor back over here and the gearbox back in here, and I'll have to push that back over there and leave the crane in there, drag that back out of the road, and then push the motor back, push the chassis back in. So yeah, that'll be fun. Right, so you can see I've knocked quite a few marks and dints out of it. That was sort of pushed in there, and here, watch it put a bubble in here. So I've got that pretty good. I might just do a little bit more on it. Just that might be a little high still. There's a few little, just probably rock marks or stone marks in here. There's a few up here. You can see where, you know, the shiny spots. I've knocked them all down fairly flat. Where was it? Oh, in here there was quite a dent and a gouge. I think I showed you that in one of the earlier clips before I started doing some hammer and dolling. This here was a bit beaten through here, so I've come through here and I've done a bit of work on that. I'm hoping that just a skim will bring that up now. And there was a mark in here, and it was punched in here as well, so I fixed that. There was a few little marks in here, and I think the rest of it will tidy up when we're done this. I don't feel anything major down there, if you know what I mean, if anything at all. So yeah, we just got to cut this piece out in here somewhere, work out where we need to cut it. Might run over it with that Scotch-Brite, just give that a good clean up so I can see where I'm going to see what material I'm going to get off. And because the swage stops about here somewhere. There's only one on it anyway, so pretty safe to cut up into here somewhere, and we'll just put that through the slip roller. A few little holes in here to weld up. You know, it's double braced in there, so we should better come along and just weld up those few holes. We might even better come up. Yeah, we might come up here even a little bit further, maybe to get rid of some extra shit steel, and then weld along here, and we'll get the bulk of it, and we'll have to maybe put a couple of patches in here, attach with a couple of welds. I think there's a couple of small cracks around the edge somewhere I've seen. I think there was a couple. What was I seeing things? Oh, there's one here. It cracked there, weld up. And I think that's roughly it. I'll have to have a double check around this bottom edge and whatever. But I think everything else appears to be okay. You know, we've knocked the worst of any bit of panel damage that you can see where that was. Almost looked like something being thumped in from that side. I don't know whether the I don't know what to call it, the resuspension pins, and I don't know if they're near there or not. It almost looks like something's been pushed sideways into it, which is kind of a weird spot to have that sort of happen. Unless something got jammed in between. But yeah, we'll have to have a little bit of a feel around just to make sure. But I think once we've given it a clean up, we should be able to etch it and whatever, and you know, weld up this. There's a crack there, is it? Yeah, crack here. Yeah, and that other one along there, wherever it is. Put this patch and tidy this up a little bit. Wee bit of weld down in here. Yeah, and just double check everything else. Maybe planish another couple of little minor marks. Yeah. But these here work quite good. You can see where it's just, we're sort of trying to rub it up and down just to try and find any major blemishes. You can see how quick it picks those out, so you can come along and just knock them down. And just planish them both sides and just try and smooth them out the best you can, you know. Scrape a fill across them, even, you know, a few coats of hide board will hide most of that. You know, we'll probably have to do a little bit of a scrape here, there. That's actually a little dent in there too. You'll have to, just right there somewhere. Where's my marker? Don't know. I was going to mark it, but no, we'll sort it out later. But yeah, it's one we marked there. I can feel it. It's a wee knock in or something. But yeah, I think we'll clean this up, attack this, load out those bits, and then yeah, we might go back around it just one more time, just with the hammer and dolly, and knock most of the worst and anything else that's left that I think is going to impede when we go to do bodywork and paint. So yeah, and block sanding and whatever. You know, block sanding will bring anything else up too that we need to just tap down. You know, you can come along and just tap something down a little bit and smear a little bit more mud on it or whatever, if you have to just put a wee fill in. But yeah, we'll carry on. Alright, that tacked in. I'm going to finish it off tomorrow. The back's going to be jipped because it's in a bit of a queer position. But yeah, so I'll finish welding that in tomorrow, and yeah, and then we'll go on to the next one. I was trying to see if I could hold it in the vise or something like that, because I don't really want to clamp it on this edge. I could gently, but it's kind of out here, but then it's too much weight hanging on it, because it's kind of too, it's not too bad, but yeah, the seat's sort of not quite the right position either. But up here would be good because you're sort of at a good level and you can weld quite nicely, but we'll deal with it tomorrow. And then I'll do the other one. I was hoping to get this one finished, but it took me actually a while to get that fitted, and then I ended up cutting it a bit short. It's not too bad, it's just a bit of an extra big gap. I'll bridge it, that's alright. Clean it up tomorrow, and yeah, and then we'll start the last one, and then yeah, we'll just finish these few bits on the body that need to be sorted, and hopefully we get the motor and box and that frickin' thing in the next few days, whatever, which will actually give me the opportunity to stick the body back on. We'll get some plastic and put that on, and yeah, and then we can actually start with the body work, you know, a bit of filler and sanding and whatever, and try and get all these bits done, test fit, make sure everything still bolts up alright, and yeah, handle the last few dints out, clean her up, etch it all, and start scraping a bit of filler on when she's needed, and frickin' get a whole heap of frickin' high build on it. and block the crap out of it. And see if we can get this thing painted. Righty. Right. Try to get this welded in. I've got it out in this box. Hopefully it doesn't buck around me. It's just a slightly better position. Hopefully not too low. We must be about due to run out of gas. So I have to swap the bottle over, but it's lasting a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. We'll start welding on here, and if we run out of gas, we'll have to swap it over. There's no point in giving them gas back. Right, so I got that finished welded up and cleaned back and ground back and whatever. Like normal, you know, got the odd little hole to fix. I'm gonna have to replace a wee bit of steel on this side piece. It's thin in places. I actually had to buzz this up quite a bit. So we'll cut a little section and weld that in there. We'll probably have to re-weld along this edge a bit, which will pull up a few pinholes that have still got in there. It's just thin and rotten through, but it won't take much to cut it off. So yeah, and then I'll obviously have to weld and drill some holes in this piece underneath here and plug weld that back through. I haven't drilled those holes yet, and then I'll have to go along and do my final dress up. I've covered this plenty of times before. I just actually spent a couple of minutes before I ground it up, cutting all these flappy discs back. So that's a normal one that's getting close to being worn at the edge, so it won't grind properly if you're using the sort of the tip of it, you know, get into corners and whatever. So that's what I do with these. I actually just use the bench grinder. You can see all the you see down there? You can see all the white dust there. It's the backings off these. That's why I had the fan blowing there, so it was blowing the shit away from me. So yeah, I just come in with the grinder running. You can see I've just finished using this. You get back to that, it's like the hard resin that's holding the, you know, the bottom part of the flappy wheel back. You sort of end up cutting that back off, so you end up with a fairly fresh edge that's got a little bit of flap on it again. So you've got an edge that will actually grind instead of, when you get down to that resin, it sort of skims across. So this one's basically buggered now, but I just use that to clean up that, so it's not too bad. Well, you'll get a little bit more out of it, but they get to the point where it sort of like slides over the top and it's not really grinding. It is, but it's not. It's probably putting excess heat into the metal. So, but yeah, I normally, when they get down to sort of close to this point or a bit further, then I'll come along and come in against the cutting wheel with it spinning and just sort of rub this edge off until you get rid of quite a bit of that resin, so you've actually got a decent piece of the flappy wheel. I actually probably should cut this one back further. It's probably not back quite far enough. But you've cut all these back so they've all got a half decent edge, and it's actually good because you can get back into some of those little hard corners again with one, and you get a decent clean up. Whereas if it's rounded off like that, you can't get into them. You can't get into that sharp edge. Whereas with this, you can get back into that sharp edge again for a while and clean up those funny edges. Because these, they're not expensive, but they're not terribly cheap. It's a bit like the ends of the cutting discs. Now, I save all these because I've been meaning to make myself one for ages, a bit to go on the end of these that I can put these into, and just use them for cutting funny little pieces or in weird places. I've been meaning to do it for ages, but I just haven't quite got there. Because this is actually a proper, this one here, I've said this a few times too. Yeah, it's good to get it, but that's actually a proper cut-off disc. And you end up about the same size with the cut-off discs left. Now when you start off with the 5-inch, this is the proper little cut-off discs you can actually get for these when you got the proper thing on it. But you end up with about the same size anyway. So why have a thing? If you can make a little, I guess you'd be called bayonet or whatever to go on there with a little. You can have a little sandwich nut in there. You just have like a washer with the shaft in it, with a nut in the back of it that you can change these over. You can just use them down a fair way and just keep using them. I've been meaning to turn one up for a long time, but I just haven't quite got there. My dad's lathe, but then you can use all these ends, so don't throw them away. I've made a little video on this before, but so yeah, so I normally cut these all back, and I do the same with these things too when they get down to the same sort of edge. I've already backed the edge off this one a little bit, so you get that edge exposed and it's not bouncing across the steel. Same thing. But anyway, I'll flip this over. I'll clean up the inside. And we'll flip this over, clean up the inside, and do a few other little repairs, weld this in, and that's basically that one sorted, apart from a final cleanup and etch it and paint it. Oh, I've got a few little cracks to weld up too, so when I do this little piece, I'll weld up. There's a couple of little splits in the body work, in the edges here. Zap them up as well. But yeah, we're basically done with this one. Right, so on the last rear fender, I'll just put the other one down there. So I've just been knocking a couple of dints out of here, and a dint out of the end of that. I think that's about the only ones I can feel at the moment. Everything else actually feels quite good. Doesn't feel too beaten or out of shape or anything. So obviously we're going to have to, hopefully we might better just put a piece in here. I can't work out this, the rivets. Surely they wouldn't have them exposed or that, or do they just put lead over them at some point or whatever? I don't know. Anyway, they ain't going to be there when I've finished. So we'll probably have to rebuild this by the looks of that. It's still got some of the running board on it. We might better just hopefully put a small strip in here. I'm hoping. Oh, I'm going to have to panel beat this back flat by the looks of that. It's all bent out. That's alright. So yeah, I'll do a little more hammer and dolling on here. Yeah, and we did that little piece there. I think everything else looks okay. It's definitely not as... there's a bit of a dent there. I'm going to have to do something with too, but it's not as bad as the other one. But Dad just turned up before. You'll see me wander away. I'll probably cut it out in the video anyway. But he's just about got the original distributor rebuilt. The only thing we're struggling with is this cap here. Is the one of the hold downs is broken off it, like the little tab. But it's got the brush in the centre, which I made. But the other cap we've got, it's all good, but it hasn't got a brush either in the centre or a pickup. So he's trying to make something. So he just turned up here to see whether this one would fit it, and obviously just run through other things. You know, we have to hopefully one of these condensers work, one of the original ones. So yeah, we might have the original distributor back in here. So hopefully between that, he's found a cutout for the generator as well. So we might actually end up with the original distributor back in this thing, which is okay. That's probably one of those things you can throw in the back, have it as a spare. It'll still work, you know. It'll get you out of the shit if the original packed up and you're away somewhere. Well, we've got plenty of spare parts, but it's the rotor and the cap. So he found a rotor that was close and he's modified it a little bit, done a little bit of modification. He went to the local vintage car club. They got a big parts shed, so Dad must have had a good fosset through there at the weekend and found the one rotor that was as close as he could get, and he's modified it to work. So we need a brush, because we can use the cap that we've got if we can get a brush in the pickup for the coil. So yeah, we might be back to that. So depending on how that goes, and so we might be farting around with that a little bit later on. And I've got the timing light here as well. So what I might actually do before I go back to that is shine a light down in here. So I'm going to wind it over and find top dead centre, and see if I've got it, see what I can do to mark it easy, so we can put the timing light down in there and see if we can pick up where we are with top dead centre. This might be a bit of a mixed video, or this might be in the next one. Who knows? We'll jumble these footage around. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at with this thing. So we might end up back on this here later on this afternoon. I don't know. It just depends on how Dad gets on. I think he's going to make a little brass pickup in the meantime. See if we can make that work. At least see if it will run on the original distributor, and then maybe we can find a better solution for a brush. Or pickup, or whatever you want to call it. I actually made that one out of a brush, a spare brush I had floating around, but I didn't have another one, if you know what I mean. A spare new one for something, but nothing ever seems to come with anything anymore, because a lot of gear is brushless now. But yeah, so I might try and see if I can get in here and make that window, make that top dead center obvious for number one. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might have to set the phone in there and then wind it over by hand and see if I can see in there or something. I don't know. And shine a light in there. But yeah, we might see if we can at least mark that and see where we're at.